Hi, I'm Kenny Anderson, Director of Multicultural Affairs for the City of Huntsville, and welcome to Impact. Each week we try to bring you information about topics that we think are of interest to our community, about various events and organizations that are making an impact on the quality of life issues that our community is so concerned about. Today I'm going to introduce you to a fine set of young men who are doing some wonderful things for some even younger men in our community through the wonderment of mentoring. Sam King is a member of the 100 Black Men of America's Greater Huntsville chapter and a former president of the chapter. Welcome to today's broadcast.
Thank you, Kenny.
It's good to have you here. And alongside of you is Robert Clark. Robert is currently serving as Director of
Vice President of Development.
Vice President of Development for the organization. He's also a member, and welcome to you as well.
Thank you.
It's good to have you guys on the show today because the 100, of course, have been on the scene now for about 15 years, ever since 1999, and people still sometimes don't know what you all do, or what we do maybe, since I'm a member also. But what you all do, because you're doing many things in this community, focusing on 4 different areas, but those core areas are the genesis upon which everything else occurs, with the anchor of those emphases being on mentoring. So why don't we start our conversation today, before we even talk about some of the events that you do. Your reason for existence is primarily to help young men to grow into young men. So talk about the mentoring component of this organization.
Okay, gladly. Thanks for inviting us, Kenny. The 100 Black Men of America, as you stated earlier, was formed in December of 1999 as a 501c nonprofit organization that has as its main focus mentoring young men from our community. You would love to help and assist every young person in the community, but we took a snapshot and analysis and said who in our community is the most underserved. And so we decided to, as an organization, that the most underserved group of young people in the community were young men from single-parent household. And so again, you would love to help every young person, but you need a focus because you don't have necessarily the extended resources to help everybody. So our focus is helping young men, single-parent household, grades 5 through 12. We've also, and that's our Men of Tomorrow program, grades 5 through 12. Here recently, within the last year, we also picked up some students from the University Place Elementary School. Those young men, approximately 35 of them, are in grades 4 and 5th. And so we picked up a different grouping, a demographic, and we mentor those young men every other Friday. And so that's an in-school mentoring program. The Men of Tomorrow program is virtually every Friday. I mean, every Saturday, I stand corrected, because on the first Saturday, that's our Science Saturday, and we take the young men over to Hudson Alpha, and Hudson Alpha gives us a Science Saturday where we do DNA type testing and DNA type training.
Which is a significant partnership because Hudson Alpha is a renowned institution around the world. And to know that they have invested their time and resources into this organization, I think says a whole lot.
It does. And when they approached us about the program with Hudson Alpha, they approached us open-heartedly with the sole purpose in mind into involving and engaging African-American young men in the sciences, biology, DNA. And so we looked at that as a very promising opportunity, and we have been working with Hudson Alpha now for approximately a year and a half, and we look forward to that continued partnership.
All right, and I kind of jumped in there, but you were going to tell us about the subsequent Saturdays.
The subsequent Saturdays, on the 2nd and 4th Saturday, we typically meet with the Men of Tomorrow. We got approximately 50 of those young men. We meet up at Calhoun Community College.
Another partnership.
Another partnership. And in that 2nd and 4th Saturday, we meet. We always feed the young men a good nourishing breakfast. We meet over at Calhoun about 8:30, and then we have a tutoring session. We have life lessons learned sessions where we invite members from the community. ministers, engineers, doctors, firemen, policemen, just all genres come in and talk to our young men about life experiences. And then we give about 2 hours of tutoring, math, reading, and the sciences. We've got 4 teachers that volunteer to come in and give their services to tutor our young men on the 2nd and 4th Saturday. And the 3rd Saturday, Alabama A&M University Engineering and Science Department is another one of our major sponsors, and they allow us and sponsor robotics. And we have a robotics FLL, which is the younger men, probably from 9 to 14. And then we have the FTC, which is the young men from 14 and higher. So that 3rd Saturday is robotics, and the young men have just grasped a hold of that robotics program, because when we initially thought about doing robotics, all you could hear was, we don't like math, we don't like science. Well, all it took was a couple of sessions of working with the robotics, working with the engineers up at A&M, and working with other volunteers that come in and help us. Now it's a passion.
Yeah.
Now they love it.
Yeah.
And so it was a matter of getting them involved, getting them engaged. And so you don't hear, I hate math or I hate science. And so that's always a good and positive thing.
Yeah, so you have a regular engagement with these young men and a regular commitment to their lives that kind of can be there to provide direction and guidance and support, correction, and everything else that goes into actually having a one-on-one or peer mentoring relationship with others, a team mentoring relationship with others. Peer mentoring because they get to see one another and bounce things off of each other and learn from each other, and that's a very important part of that process too. Right. And Robert, we've mentioned the partnerships that are part of this process. One of the most important things I know that you do as a part of this organization is to get the word out to people, to say, here's what we're doing, here's how it's making a difference in our community, and here's how we would think you can probably help us, or let's sit down and talk about brainstorming some possible ways that you can help us. Tell us how this works.
Well, as part of some of the duties as Vice President of Development of the organization, it's primarily the fundraising, the gathering of resources and establishing partnerships and relationships with various entities in the community, the business community, to gather these resources to support these programs. So we have various programs established throughout the year. We have a program where we have a scholarship program where we provide to deserving students that go through an application process. We award scholarships to assist them in their educational aspirations.
And what students are eligible in the community?
Well, we send out all high school students, we send out an array of applications throughout the community. Those applications come back in, they're reviewed and evaluated, and those that meet certain criteria established by the bylaws of the organization have the opportunity to qualify for the scholarships. Okay. There are other programs that we do throughout the year other than the scholarships. Last year we gave out, subsequent years ago, we gave out $34,000 in scholarships in a particular given year. But other programs that we need to help raise money in are our golf tournament, which is coming up real soon. Great program. It's grown over the years. We've kind of moved it from one spot to a larger facility out at the Hampton Cove area. This year it'll be on the first week in August. We anticipate 100 plus players. We have had the program grow over the years. It's one of our major fundraising programs, and we try to encourage as many people to come out and support the program as we possibly can, because it's one of the larger programs other than our gala, which is at the end of the year.
Sure. So you have 2 major fundraisers every year that provide people with an opportunity to make contributions to the organization, to support both the Men of Tomorrow program as well as the scholarships, which I think is very important to know.
Absolutely. That
this organization now, since its inception, has given away a substantial number of scholarships.
Yeah, approximately $160,000, right. And like Robert mentioned earlier, there's a scholarship to the general community, basically a 75-mile radius of Huntsville, and any student is eligible for that general scholarship, and the recipients can go to any school they'd like. There is no requirement to go to a specific school. The scholarship winners can go to any school they so choose.
Yeah. Well, this, I think, is a wonderful thing to know, because you certainly get a lot of interest around, March, April, May,
Yeah,
when
exactly.
kids start thinking about graduating from high school and what's going to happen next, because college is an expensive proposition.
Absolutely.
But you have other programs as well, I know. You certainly have a big health and wellness event that takes place every year. It seems to get bigger each year. You seem to attract a lot of support from the community as far as that event is concerned. Talk a little bit about that health fair, and why is that important for our community and for people to partner with you on that?
Well, the health fair is an annual event that we host, and we host it for the last 4 years. We've hosted it up at the Alabama A&M Fitness Center. We've seen growth from a mere couple hundred. Last year we had approximately 1,000 attendees. This year we anticipate even a greater number. We have doctors, we have nurses, we have pharmaceutical reps, we have dental optometrists, any number of medical personnel that come, set up their vending stations. It is no cost.
It's all free.
All free to the vendors, no cost to the community. We try to start off in the morning with a walk run, and it's great that the Alabama A&M Fitness Center has a track upstairs. So rain, sleet, snow, whatever the case, we've got an indoor facility to do that. We also, again, the health fair, the walk run starts at 8:30. Typically it's over with about 10 o'clock. The health fair itself inside the health facility starts at 10 o'clock and will go to 2 o'clock. Again, if you got issues with high blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, if you want to get tested for HIV and AIDS, you want your ears tested, there is accommodations at the health fair to actually do that. This year we also, and in the past years, we've had the city help with it by supplying transportation. And that transportation is key because it goes out into the various communities and provides free transportation to individuals that want to come to the health fair. Because one of the things that I noticed when I initially joined the organization 12 plus years ago was that we put the health fair on, we go door to door, we do leaflets, we have the young men go out knocking and inviting people to come out, and we just didn't see them coming out. And I know that the vast majority of the community, even if they got funds, let's say they got $100, I guarantee you they're sitting there with $100 trying to sort out, well, I got to buy gas, I got to buy food, got to buy medicine, the kids need clothes, the kids need food. And so what we're trying to offer is, for medical advice, you don't need to expend your funds on that for medical advice. Come on out to the North Alabama Health Fair. We changed the name several years ago, so it's all inclusive.
Yeah, and partnered with a couple of great organizations, Asha Quran and also the North Alabama Coalition on the Homeless, which I think, is a wonderful collaboration, because that's really what communities are looking for.
Exactly.
For a number of people to pool their resources and make this thing as accessible to as many people as possible.
Exactly.
I want to make sure that we get everything in that we need to get in. I know we're running out of time, but I know that this past year you had a significant accomplishment in being able to take a number of the young guys up to the nation's capital. That had to be a phenomenal experience. Tell us a little something about that.
It was a phenomenal experience. The Washington, D.C. Men of Tomorrow field trip was a trip that we had been planning for approximately 2 years. And in that 2-year process, we planned it out. We did various fundraisers. And so the members did fundraiser. But interestingly enough, the young men, the Men of Tomorrow, and their parents decided to do fundraisers to help with the expenses for the field trip. So they did a car wash and they raised approximately $1,000. And so $1,000 in the big scheme of things maybe not have been an extreme amount, but to those young men and to those parents, they were allowed to make a contribution. They were allowed to put some skin in the game. So we took approximately 37 young men to Washington, D.C. for a week, and we had various sponsors and donors that helped us do that. It was an educational field trip, but they also had fun. We visited the Martin Luther King Monument. We visited the Lincoln and Jefferson Memorial, and what got them real excited was we visited the White House, we visited the Capitol, and so there were lots of opportunities for them to get some educational value.
Yeah.
And so besides having fun, there was an assessment test, call it what you want, but we did assess the young men at the end of that educational field trip just to see what educational value did they gain from the trip. And they did very well in terms of retention, in terms of what they had learned. And we also had the opportunity to take them to a national baseball game. And that was just outstanding because we took them as a large group. And if you can envision a large group of 40 young men going to a national baseball game, they were on their best behavior. And that's not just because Sam or Robert said, but we had individuals in the stadium come up and donate funds to that Men of Tomorrow program because they literally were impressed and admired the behavior that those young boys.
It's not an uncommon experience because that happened in Memphis.
Yes.
And it's happened at other times too, but I remember one particular time when that happened in Memphis. But these guys really are committed to being at their best, and I think that that is a tribute to so many different things.
I was going to add that it was certainly a wonderful experience for not only the kids, but for us as well. I saw that the excitement on some of the kids' faces probably hadn't even been out of the community. But as Vice President of Development, that's one thing we like to emphasize. Trips like that, educational trips to support these kids, it takes funding. And that's why we need support in these programs that we have, the golf tournament, the holiday gala. It helps provide these type of opportunities for the kids in this community. So we just like to continue to encourage people to support. When you hear about programs that we're offering or events that's going on, try to reach out and help support these programs because it really gives back to the community in which we all live.
Yeah, and I think that's the important point that I want to emphasize, that it's not just providing funds to travel,
Right.
Stay in a hotel or to eat.
Right.
It's actually giving these young men exposure to something that they traditionally may not have had an opportunity to experience.
Exactly.
So that when they go back to their history class, they're not just talking about the White House or the Capitol theoretically, or the seat of government theoretically, but they've been there, they've seen it, they've had a chance to actually be where those things are taking place, and no one can know how that might spark a light in their life and turn things around for them in ways that nothing else would. So that's really the benefit when we approach somebody and say, would you help support this? It's really well beyond the event itself.
Right, exactly. Yes, it is.
How does a person become a member of this organization? I think I probably should ask that.
Well, there is an application process. The application process is in two parts. The first part, generally, you tell us, the organization, something about yourself. Then you must obtain the signatures and recommendations of 2 members currently in the organization that are in good standing. And the second part consists of a background check that is required by the state of Alabama. So we must do that background check. And so the process then flows from the board of directors reviews that application, and if they deem it acceptable, the board of directors recommend that application to the general body, who then votes on it, basically a thumb up or a thumb down. So the membership, there is an application. You can contact any member of the 100 and inquire and ask for the application. Any member can give it to you, or you can call the business office, 256-536-8800, 8050 and ask for a copy of the application.
All right, and of course we kind of referenced this earlier, but want to take just a few minutes to talk about this and why this is such a big deal. But you have a year-end event every year. It's a big holiday gala that takes place down at the Von Braun's North Hall. It's one of the premier events in the community, especially at that time of year. A lot of people have attended over the years. A lot of people look forward to it each year. Tell us about that gala.
Well, it's a great event, wonderful event, as you mentioned, Kenny. It's an event where we try and give a little back to our supporters over the year. We have a black tie event at the North Hall of the VBC. We have generally some entertainment, a band. We try and get the kids involved in some years, and then there's an induction process also during that time. But primarily, it's a fundraiser that also supports these programs. We have generally somewhere around 800 to 1,000 attendees. It's a black tie event, time to get out and pull the old tux out and let the wife get a new dress and, come on out and support the event. But it's a great program, great fundraiser, and we just encourage people to come out and attend that as well.
Yeah. What's the future of this organization? You have a big footprint in the community. You've done quite a bit up to now, and there's a lot that you all can probably look back and say we're proud of having been able to do this or be a part of that. But what's the future of this organization?
I'd say the future of the organization is probably verging on the edge of the unknown, because we try to be very positive when we deal with the young men. We try to be very positive when we go out to the community. The 100 Black Men of America, our motto is what they see is what they will be. And so we try to impress and impart a positive influence. And so like the young men that we mentor and the young men within the community, whether they have a father or not, but in our case, the young men that don't have fathers there to interface with, we don't try to be their fathers. We just try to be there to be a positive influence. And so we also, at the national level, our motto changed. It is now mentoring across a lifetime. And so mentoring across a lifetime caused us locally to do several things different, like going down to the elementary school, 3rd and 4th grade, 4th and 5th grade, to pick up the school university place. We also, mentoring across a lifetime caused us as an organization to expand to the Alabama A&M Collegiate 100. And so we're constantly expanding our opportunity to reach out and touch and make a difference in the lives of young people within this community.
We got about a minute left in the broadcast. I want to review real quickly so people can know what to kind of be on the lookout for. Let's go from January to December and maybe catch the key points about things that take place. I know that there are pretty consistent months in which things might occur. Can we kind of review that real quickly for people so they can kind of be on the lookout?
Well, for half the program, for most of the first part of the year, first quarter of the year, first thing we have is what we call a appreciation breakfast, Meet the 100, where we invite our sponsors, supporters, and partners to come out, have a nice hot breakfast with us. We generally have it at the Redstone Federal Credit Union Technology Center, and we invite them out, tell them about things that we've accomplished over the years, how their dollars have supported the children of the community. And then we move on down in the year where we next have the scholarship award program.
It's usually around April timeframe?
Around the April timeframe, after the scholarship process, then we issue the scholarship awards. And we move down towards the golf tournament. I'll let you take it now. August timeframe, where we have, which is one of our major fundraisers, as we indicated. And then in the December timeframe is the holiday gala.
Oh, you got the September Health and Wellness event.
And the September Health and Wellness. We don't want to miss that one.
Totally free.
Exactly. Sure is, yeah.
Okay, so you got a great organization reaching out to young people in this community, trying to make a difference in their lives on a consistent basis, fully invested in their futures, and moving forward. The 100 have been here for about 15 years now.
About 15 years.
You expect to be here for another 15, and so it sounds like you've got a game plan, you're moving ahead, you've got some signature events and activities that take place, and I think that this community will certainly look forward to being a part of that. Again, if people want to either become a member, attend one of these events, get more information, or perhaps even make a contribution to this initiative, just talk to you guys and find out more about what you're doing. How could they contact you?
You can contact us at 100 BMOAGHC.org, and that's our website, or you can call the business office 256-536-8050 and request information, or you could just reach out and touch any member, and if that member don't have the ready access to what you need, they in turn can contact one of the board members. So there's multiple ways to reach out. And having said that, we constantly get asked, how can young men become a part of this program? And so we take young men applications from schools, from churches, from people locally in the community, from any number of ways. And to this date, we can honestly say that we have not turned down anybody. Typically, if somebody wants to be a part of the Men of Tomorrow program, we ask them to come in and sit in on several of our Saturday programs, because we want to make sure that our Men of Tomorrow program is good for the youth, good for the parent, and that all adds up to being good for the 100.
Yeah, that's great. And I'll throw in the social media piece too, in case people want to connect with you through social media. There's a Facebook page, 100 Black Men of America Greater Huntsville chapter, and people can connect with you there as well.
That's right.
Sam King, Robert Clark, members of the 100 Black Men of America Greater Huntsville chapter, thank you for being with us today and sharing this great information about the organization.
All right, thank you, Kenny.
Thank you, Kenny. Thanks for having us.
Well, thank you for being a part of our broadcast today, and we hope that you'll tune in for our next edition of Impact. In the meantime, I'm Kenny Anderson, and as always, it's been a pleasure to be with you. We'll talk again soon.